Awesome. So we are here with the TA Leader Series with Julia Levy, who's the head of Global Talent Acquisition. Thank you so much for joining us. Did I miss anything in the intro that you'd like to add about that? A little bit of background on yourself.
Based in Atlanta, like you. Go
Awesome.
Braves.
Hey, go Braves, go Falcons, maybe a hockey team coming. So absolutely. So, we have a couple questions for you, usually around video and just everything in the TA space. So I'll just go ahead and start us off. And so what is the best video you have created for your organization? And what was the content and why was that important? A little bit of a three-part question, but just want to start off there.
I'd say my favorite videos were when I was at Fiserv and Alex Brown, my recruitment marketing colleague, and I put together a series of videos on the culture of the company. And we did one on boomerangs, which was a lot of fun too. And that's probably one of my favorites. I don't know if it's still in use now. It's been several years, but we got some really good content around several employees that left the company and then came back. And it was just a really engaging video. And it really highlighted some of the special aspects of the culture that would bring someone back to the organization.
Awesome. Great. And so outside of, boomerang and the best content, what competitive advantage do you have when you use video from an organization, do you believe?
One of the things that I think is really critical around video is the storytelling and the content of the video is really critical to capture the attention of job seekers, differentiate your organization from others in the marketplace, and using your people to tell that story is always such an asset to any company.
Awesome. Great. And then how do you know video works? This is a multi-part question as well. So how do you know video works? What data have you seen? And what anecdotal information do you have around that?
How do I know video works? That's a good question. I think it's looking at data. And so looking at data, so that's a broad statement. So when I've created videos in the past, I'll look at view time. So how many views did it get? How long did people stay? We'll usually have some sort of call to action. Sorry, did you hear that? Yeah. I'll start over.
Oh, no, I didn't hear
Okay.
anything.
No, my phone started going off. I forgot to turn it on mute. So sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so let me reset.
Yeah.
When looking at video and seeing how well the video is doing, we'll look at how many views did it get. We'll look at the time people spent on the video. We'll also look at whatever call to actions that we've put into the video to see what people have taken in the videos. And so that's some of the data that we'll look at. If we have a video that is focused on a specific job, family, or business unit, we'll look to see if there's any influx in applications or clicks on a landing page and things like that to be able to see how impactful a video was. Anecdotally, I think looking also at comments on the video. So depending on where we have it posted, how engaged were people with the video content, not just on the video itself, but maybe commenting or reacting to it and listening that way. And then also when you have recruiters that are hearing from candidates that they enjoyed a video or learned something from it, that's always, an extra special add-on and anecdote.
Yeah. Awesome. And you touched on multiple different aspects of using video. And this is kind of a personal question is, how long do you think each video should be for particular pieces? Should they all be under 30 seconds? Should they all be long? Like, what's your take on that?
It's really changed over the years. So anytime I'm doing a video, if it's long form, try and keep it at that 2 minutes or under. Sometimes it creeps over a little depending on what you have for your bookends. But I'll try and repurpose videos. So we might have a 2-minute video of something and then do something 30 seconds subset of it, and then maybe even a 10 or 15-second subset of the video as well, so that you can get multiple usage out of the video content.
Awesome. And this kind of goes on that is, what do you feel you're missing out on if you don't use video?
So much. Maury had, in one of her presentations a couple of years ago, she showed, so in US, like the automobile window sticker, and then like a car ad, right? Our job descriptions, our career sites are still much more like that automobile window sticker. And there are some candidates that want that data, but that's a subset of all of your candidates. Most candidates are only going to spend a couple seconds looking at your job posting, but they'll spend more time on your video trying to understand what's going on.
Right.
I answer that fully.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, thanks so much for that insight. And how does video make the recruiting process more efficient in your eyes and how you've seen it being used?
I think there's a couple different ways in which you can use video. Obviously, some of those beautiful culture videos where someone can get a little peek behind the curtain and understand what's going on within your organization. But using hiring managers or people in the job to talk about the job is really impactful, because job seekers want to know who the hiring manager is or a little bit about them. Same thing with the people that they're going to work with. So not having it just be a senior leader or someone from HR or a figurehead, but the real people doing the work, being able to show a day in the life or something special about the culture, goes back to that storytelling and looking at the multiple ways in which you can use video to tell different pieces of your story, and use video maybe in different places in the candidate journey.
Awesome. I want to come back to that portion that you said, multiple different ways to use video, but I have a follow-up question here is, how do you decide who should make the video, and why, what do you do if that person that you want is hesitant?
So I've struggled with that. So at my last employer, I was very involved in our DEI objectives and wanted to create a DEI video for job seekers to learn about what our business network was doing and what's going on at some of our locations, and the company's commitment and what people think about the company's commitment, not just what the CEO or CHRO says, but the people that are really kind of doing the work.
Yeah.
And this was a very engaged group. It was our business network and our leadership council, and asking people sometimes to do video, especially maybe a little more on their own, can be really uncomfortable for them. And you've got to get people more comfortable in front of a camera and practicing what they say without being too scripted, because I do believe the natural conversations and having people speak their own words is really important versus some of those scripted videos that a brand might put out. Candidates, I think, want to see how authentic it is at the organization. But giving people a lot of tips and tricks, I think someone being on the line is more helpful. It was pulling teeth to try and get some of the people to do content on their own. And
Right.
so having a familiar face or someone there to help guide, I think, can be really important to getting the kind of content that you want.
Do you think the pandemic has allowed organizations to use more informal video as opposed to the professionally generated video to show overall, as well as videos supporting their EVP?
I've seen a lot more examples when I've looked on LinkedIn and at different brands' content that they're putting out, whether it be on Instagram or Twitter, et cetera. And I've definitely seen more authentic, and some of it was by design, right? People weren't back to office yet and being in groups or situations or places where they could. But I do think some brands that were very particular around what content you put out may now see a little more of the benefits of more user-generated or authentic, lower production value video.
Got it. So I guess I'm following up on that is, do you see advantages of using informal video over professional video?
For job search, for sure.
Okay.
When it comes to candidates wanting to see that authentic story, the highly polished video will feel more like corporate speak. It's the same thing with photo content. They want to see real people at work and not stock imagery. And so how do you show that? And I know in past lives when I've worked with professional photographers and we had hair and makeup there and did photos of our employees in their work environment, I had people tell me our like Instagram photos looked like they were stock images, even though they were real people. So there is this balance. Like we wanted people to look and feel their best while they were getting the photos done. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like a negative thing, but several people had said, oh, I figured that was all stock imagery, and not realizing it was our authentic people. So you've got to balance that a little bit.
Awesome. And then my last question, and again, you can elaborate as much as you'd like on it, is, do you feel there's a difference in the effectiveness of using video over just text in employer branding, or do you think there's a good mesh for both?
That's a great question. I think that there's a good mesh for both. I think there's a need for both. Not everyone is auditory or visual. People like to consume information in different ways. I've been on some career sites where there's 5 or 6 minute videos on like the history of a company or something like that, where you could just spend a minute looking at the timeline and that would be just as impactful. So I do think there's room for both and use for both, but they can impact each other and integrate with each other really well, depending on the use case.
Well, thank you so much. And Julia, thank you so much for your time, for joining this TA Leader Series. Again, Julia Levy, Head of Global Talent Acquisition, thank you so much. And we really appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure.